Once upon a time, long ago, a small-town youngster in South Arkansas climbed a tree, looked out over a lot of other trees and the far horizon, and saw much more than the distant sunset. He saw a dream of a future in flying, and from that day on, he never stopped dreaming about flying, much higher than the top of that tree. Even as a youngster, he couldn't imagine how he could do it. The tiny South Arkansas town of Rison is just about as far as you can get from any aviation activity of any kind. This is the story of that young man. In 1961, just south of Rison, Arkansas, Kenneth Wayne Johnson was born, one of 5 children of Silas and Doris Johnson. Silas a logger, his mother a factory worker. Ken Johnson spent his boyhood here, where he started his hopes and dreams.
I couldn't afford to even think about taking flying lessons, and we had some large, long, tall pine trees in our backyard, and I would climb to the top of those trees and look out over the horizon and the sunset and just kind of dream of one day being able to fly. That was really my first experience. And later on, although I was anticipating getting a ride, I didn't get my first ride until I was some 20 years old.
Ken Johnson was schooled in the public schools in Rison and went on to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. He studied biology and went on to earn an undergraduate degree in biology and a master's degree in public administration. But still yearning to fly, while a student at UAPB, he experienced his first flight. He was 21 years old.
As a student at the college at University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, had a friend across the hall told me he was taking flying lessons, and I thought he was joking. So that was on a Saturday evening, and he said, "Would you like to go up?" So I said, "Sure, I'll give it a try." I got to the airport Sunday morning, the following day, and I was just nervous, and so I maybe need to rethink this thing. But I tell you, when the instructor took me up, in a Cessna 150, once we were airborne over the Pine Bluff and looked out, the rest is history. I fell in love with aviation from that point going forward.
While still a college student in 1981, he learned to fly through the Port City Aero Club under the direction of ROTC Lieutenant Colonel Oscar Mack at Pine Bluff's Grider Field. He graduated his courses and earned a private pilot's license that allowed him to fly a single-engine plane. So in 1983, he had completed a college degree and an FAA pilot's license, but he was not through. He went on to get his commercial pilot's license, became a certified flight instructor, and earned a Malta engine rating. Ken Johnson's humble, warm, and friendly attitude gained him many friends in the aviation industry.
Ken is a good friend of mine. I've known him for over 40 years. Ken is an avid pilot. He has numerous ratings. Ken has given a number of people their primary flight training as well as numerous other ratings. Ken has given countless adults their first airplane ride, and even more importantly, he has given countless children their first airplane ride. That's very important to me and all aviators. And more importantly to me, Ken gave my grandchildren their first ride, which was an absolute honor. Keep flying, my friend.
In 1993, Ken was appointed to the Arkansas Aeronautics Commission and served for 12 years, including a time as chairman, and he currently serves as chairman of the Pine Bluff Aviation Commission. Ken has been active in aviation-related activities for over 4 decades and still loves to fly. He's especially proud of his Mooney aircraft. Ken has been active for several years in the Black Pilots of America Incorporated and has served as its operations officer and volunteered at the Black Pilots Summer Flight Training Academies in Florida, Arkansas, and Texas. Ken helped bring the Black Pilots of America annual gathering to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Operation Skyhook brings in hundreds of black pilots from around the country every year. The gathering brings tens of thousands of dollars to the local economy of Pine Bluff and Arkansas.
In 1996, BPA was in the process of being formed, and they were looking for a home. I was at one of the meetings, and preferably they looked around possibly somewhere in the central United States. And I just got to thinking, I said, well, what I will do is extend the invitation for them to come to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. It's, if you look at California, New York, we're kind of somewhat centrally located, with just the idea that they would come here for one event. They came to Pine Bluff. The city was very hospitable and welcoming, and they never had that experience before. And so some 27 years later, they still come back to Pine Bluff, and I'm just glad to have played a very small part by extending the invitation to come to our city. And they come every year, as I indicated before. They have brought a lot of aviators, giving a lot of rides to underrepresented youth in the area, and just share a lot of experiences. And they come here, they spend money in town, they stay in hotels, and there's really been a blessing not only to Pine Bluff but throughout the state of Arkansas. It's been an economic boost here to our city and overall in the state of Arkansas. And again, we like for that tradition to go ahead and continue toward the future.
While the gathering is a major event for the pilots, the group and Ken Johnson are most proud that they can provide youngsters with their first airplane ride. Ken speaks fondly of his chance to give youngsters their first airplane ride and proud. Several of them have gone on to successful careers as commercial airline pilots. In 2022, Ken was inducted into the Black Pilots of America's Hall of Fame. Ken Johnson is married to Mary Sarita Johnson and has 2 daughters, Lauren and Jordan. And Johnson is proud grandpa of 2 grandsons, Jaden and Levin, who Johnson is already inspiring in hopes of carrying on his legacy. He has long been in government and public service work, serving many years as an environmental specialist, and is currently the general manager of the Pine Bluff Wastewater Utility Department, where he has served as manager for over 20 years. Little Kenny Johnson climbed down from that South Arkansas tree long ago, but he never stopped seeing the horizon and fulfilling his dream of a career in aviation. And although that tree may have had its limitations, Ken Johnson says the sky is the limit. Ken Johnson's contribution to aviation and to Arkansas have earned him a spot in the Arkansas Aviation Hall of Fame.